You can be the referee. Do you want to start? We're here again.
You know what? I like being the host of Sten's show.
Do you? You do?
I
really
found
like? You
something
like
I
being
can
the
do in my. Well,
You
go
found-
back to my old.
Well, wait. Let's see. Oh no, that was their opinion that you were never doing your job. That was the administration saying you weren't doing your job.
Let's get serious.
All right, let's get serious. Yeah,
You know, Jim, I look.
we have to have a little levity. And
Yeah, let me interrupt too. This is your show, not my show.
I'm sorry.
There you
Okay,
go. This is
we
all
have
about
to-
you guys.
Okay.
There you go.
If it's all about us, it's
Yeah.
going to be boring.
Oh yeah.
I read the Daily Rag, not the weekly newspaper, the Daily
The
Rag.
Daily Rag.
And I look, try and take a step back, and I look at even this issue of challenging signatures from the petitions. When we do it, we're cheap shots, we're whiners, but when the other side does it, it's part of the system. He has a right to do it. That's just another example of the challenges you have as a kid, because you're not a candidate of a party. But you know what? I watched you in action last night at Gill Creek, working the people, and I saw the response of the people. And you are a people's candidate, and I think that's positive, and it's going to build as we get closer to the election.
You know what, Paul? You're right about one aspect where they challenge everything we do, and the reason they're challenging what we do is simply because we're not endorsed. Okay, we're not an endorsed candidate. The Republican Party chose to endorse someone else. Okay, they fought us tooth and nail throughout this campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not saying that what they did was illegal. You know, they did things that are perfectly legal, maybe some that are quasi-legal in their world. But because we challenged it, you know, they're upset the fact that we're actually challenging it. Now, we have a legitimate right to challenge petitions, as does anyone. Okay, you as my campaign manager and basically moderator, referee, and bodyguard. We can throw in bodyguard.
The good looks of the crew.
Keeper. Okay, yeah, keeper. You know. And so we have a right to challenge it. We looked at the amount of signatures that were accumulated. I felt personally that we weren't going to be able to bounce it out. Okay, I felt it would be difficult to bounce out that percentage of signatures. But we had, my aspect for allowing the challenge to pursue was a little bit different than Paul's. Okay, mine was to actually see the areas of the city that we missed. Okay, and the people that we missed. And to find out where maybe we have to continue to work a little bit harder.
But what inspired this, Jim? Always remember what inspired it was voters that we had been to saying, someone came and asked us to sign again.
That was kind of crazy.
We identified almost 100 bad signatures.
Yes.
And that I mean duplicate signatures.
Duplicate signatures.
Okay, and we needed 230.
We needed 230.
It was worth a chance.
It was worth the challenge to realize that people either do not understand the process, or the people that are out there are actually pressing the people to, because these aren't going to be challenged, just sign, it doesn't matter. And that was a big factor. People did come to us and talk to us about, they signed for someone else because they came afterwards. Okay, so as far as the challenges goes, that's about where we stood on that, But
and we did it like you instructed us to do.
Yes.
We did it according to Hoyle. When we didn't have enough signatures on the challenge, we notified the Board of Elections. Rather than waste their energy, their time, we did what you're supposed to do. So we
also wanted to compare the signatures because we had everyone's signatures. We also compared the signatures between our other competitor, John Accardo, okay, and Pascal, okay, and ours. So it was more or less just to evaluate also where the problems are in what was going on.
The positive thing, and again, you're the non-politician and I'm the old political hack, but the positive thing that comes out of these signatures, Jim, we know how many John got on his own. We know how Pascal got on his own, and we know you got 500 and some odd signatures on your own.
Yes.
That speaks volumes, and that's where the people are helping you get that momentum they're going to need. Pull this thing out.
And I look at it this way. There's 2 or 3 things that happened in this preliminary part of this election. Okay, first, on the Republican Party, we had the most signatures. Okay, we were a non-politician. We had the most signatures. Okay, so I feel we finished number 1. On the second part of the process, we're drawn the number 1 position on the ballot. So again, we're number 1.
And
why are we?
As these people want to understand what we're doing. That number 1 had nothing to do with us getting the most signatures.
No.
It was just the luck of the draw.
The luck of the draw.
I told Jimmy, it's an omen.
It's an omen. Perhaps things are going in our way.
And we've done research historically the number one spot on the ballot is an advantage.
No.
It is an advantage. And you, if you research it, you'll see it's an advantage.
And a lot of the naysayers, okay, a lot of our naysayers, past political, I won't say hacks, past political people,
Experienced politicians.
experienced politicians, okay, are predicting that we're going to get a lower than average turnout as usual for the primary. Okay, we're hoping and speaking to the people on the street that we're going to get what is more of an extraordinary primary turnout for this election, both on the Democratic side
Right.
and on the Republican side, which would all of a sudden put those naysayers to rest. And I believe that that's what's going to change it, because people are interested in this election, whether it be on the Democratic side, what's going on, or what's going on the Republican side. I think that we have stirred, both on our side and their side, enough of excitement into this that people realize that this is the time to vote if they really want to be heard.
You know what was encouraging last night at the concert series while you were walking around being the candidate? People that came up to me that we played softball with that went to my rec programs, and they say, I'm a Democrat, I can't wait to vote for Jimmy. But I have, and here's a kicker. One guy said to me, but we have family, the Republicans, and they're all voting for Jim. And I think that really, it has to pick your spirits up. Because
it does, you know what, Paul, and seeing the people and talking to them, and the ideas that we're putting forward for both in our 12-point plan that we're initiating for the city, our plan that was developed over meeting all these people and talking to these people. You know, we had ideas. By speaking to the citizens, we've been able to take those ideas and hone them even more to what the people want. And what we're assuring them is that we're not there to represent any particular political party, but to represent the people that elect us. And we're going to be there throughout this, not only for those people that on the Republican side, not the conservatives or independents, but all the people, the citizens of Niagara Falls. And another thing we're making perfectly clear, that regardless of what distractions are thrown at us, we're still going to move ahead with not only our plan, but the direction that the city needs to go in. And the one thing that they will find out during this whole campaign, regardless of what they throw at us, I will not back down. I do not back down. That is one thing I don't. And hopefully, if I'm successful, I'll carry on that same attitude, not only for the people and the citizens against other people, but against the state. We have to do things, we have to have a mayor that's strong enough to say, I'm not backing down. I'm representing the people that elected me, and I'm going to do the best job I can.
And it's not when or if, it's when.
It's when.
When you're successful. I tell you when.
You know, and Paul hates when I do this, okay? First, the difference between us and other political candidates, when you see them being interviewed, if they're not stuttering, okay, they're hedging their bets. They don't want to say what they have because that's their big secret plan. We have no secret plan. Our plan is to do the best job we can for the citizens and businesses in the city of Niagara Falls. So when it comes to sharing what we're going to do, when it comes to saying who has to go out of City Hall if we're elected, I have absolutely no qualms about stating it. I'm not going to state, you know, what we'll do is evaluate the positions that they hold. And no one's going to lose their job if afterwards, when we meet with them, that's bullshit, Paul. But we all know who has to go at City Hall. We all know who has created the direction that the city of Niagara Falls is going to. Be willing to state it publicly. Look, if this person's going, if it costs me a few votes because they have family, look, I don't care if it's your family. They're doing a lousy job and they're not representing the city of Niagara Falls, the businesses, so they got to go.
But you know, balancing your plan, Jim, you don't give yourself enough credit. That's what I'm going to teach you before I get out of this business for good.
Before?
Is give yourself some credit. You from day one, okay, you say you're not going to sugarcoat anything.
No.
I mean, as you went through your plan, I'm looking at the plan you developed. I mean, you got some hardball in there. I mean, you're talking about bringing back a budget director, forensic. Those are powerful things. They aren't saying, well, I'm going to bring, this is the best. I'm going to bring the state back in to tell us what to do.
No.
You're telling them you're going to do it.
Yeah. And do you know what the difference is too? Here, let's look at that one aspect you just brought up, the state. All right, the other candidates are basically, not Glenn, okay, because Glenn wants to try and do some things, but the other political candidates are saying that we're going to work with the state. As a matter of fact, we don't have a soft control board in now, but we've just taken the first step to a soft control board that leads to a hard control board. What I want to say is, I want to work with the state, but I also want to be the mayor that sits down and actually looks at the people and says, we've done everything possible to keep the state out of here.
Right.
you know, to solve our problems on our own. We have a certain amount of income coming in. We have extra income, which a lot of other cities don't. Why can't we be successful? What are we doing wrong? Don't we owe it to the businesses and the people of the city of Niagara Falls to first try and give the best effort to solve the problems within our communities? If we can do that, then we don't need the state. And on the plus side to that is I want people to think about the state. Okay, I need you to think about what's going on by involving the state. The state has not been kind to us in Niagara Falls. No, nobody will say it, but I'm going to tell you, they've been horrendous to the city of Niagara Falls. We receive absolutely no income from that state park. Okay, now let's just take this for the deficit. If we're saying we have a $7.5 or $8 million deficit that we're going to be facing, and if this is a true deficit, let's realize that the state has a vested interest in what they produce that, Paul. Think about just the parking, or here's one that I want you guys to think about. The state shoved down the throats of the citizens and businesses of Niagara Falls the host agreement with the Seneca Nation. Okay, it was set up not for the benefit of the state, even though they said, or not for the benefit of the people, even though they said it was for to save Niagara Falls. It was set up for the benefit of the state. Okay, think about our park. That state has not been kind to us. How about this? Since they shoved the Seneca agreement down our throat, we get 25% of the 25%, which we want the people to know is negotiable. Not with the Senecas, because if we believe they're being good neighbors, and if we believe they need to participate in the growth of the city, we can't go after the Senecas. But we can sure as go after the state, because that 25% isn't written in stone. It says at least 25% in the compact. So we're getting the minimum that we should be allowed. And for the aggravation and the problems caused by the casino, along with the growth, we should receive first more of a percentage. But let's take it a step further. Here's one. Since they shoved that host agreement down our throats, how about shouldn't we have a host agreement with the state park, Paul? What do you think would happen if we received 25% of the income coming into that park? How much, you're a parks person, how much income does that park realistically generate?
They had a piece on a local TV station. They're doing a series, and they show you this figure, $23 million gross revenue after expenses. I think, and I'm just hedging because I'm not exactly sure, thought it was 9.6 million. Then the local guru of the governor says, well, and we don't give that money to Niagara, we spread it among state parks in the region. No. Bold-faced lie. The money's returned to the general fund in Albany, and then it's dispersed, okay? Nothing goes in the pockets of Niagara Falls.
Nothing goes in the
pocket. Not one nickel.
So let's think about this. Let's just take $9 or $10 million. Oh, what'd you say, 26 million?
Yeah.
Let's say between 25 and $30 million gross is generated in that park. But that's not including the vendors. That's just the park's end. That's parking, that's what they control, okay? That doesn't mean that the restaurants and stuff there aren't making a tidy sum at the expense of the taxpayers. So what if we got 25% of that? Gee, wouldn't that be another $5 or $6 million? Just a fair share of the revenue being generated by that park would solve the budget problems. So why don't we take that into account, that we get a mayor strong enough to say, look it, you're benefiting, how about we benefit from that park? You made us accept that agreement, we'll still consider that 25% is adequate from the casino. But how about this? How about now you give us 25% of the park revenue? Let's think of some of the things they did to us, Paul. Let's look back, all the way back to the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. They've been controlling our destiny. They've been leading us to this point where, in addition to that, we've had no politicians with enough guts to stand up to them. Nobody's been there. Regardless of what they say, they didn't have the balls to go after this. But let's go after that. Let's look at every aspect. Why is it that when the state wanted those boats to stay in that river, okay, within a year, new docks, new facilities are built at the will of the state? Okay, but if that was me or someone else trying to do it, or a private developer, we'd have had no chance. The environmental people would have ate us up. The state would not have backed us like they did themselves for this. Okay, now they're going to tell us they just spent what, $100 million on that park, or how much?
Yeah, well, they're saying there was $84 million allocated to the Western District, which is our end of the city.
How much you think they dumped into the park?
I could, Jim, for me to guess, a lot of money, but not.
Okay, but let's say, maybe it's not 100, but let's say it's 75 million dumped into the park. Do you think they dumped that 84 or 100 million into that park to benefit the citizens and businesses of Niagara Falls? That would be they can't even lie to us that. That money was put in that park. Do you think they did it to enhance the visitor experience in that park, to make it more eco-friendly, to make to look at the vision of that park? Absolutely not. That money was put in that park to make it generate more money for the state. Do not believe any of their lies. That money was put in there to generate more money. Parking lots are not eco-friendly. More vending in there is not eco-friendly. That did not enhance it. That parkway redevelopment, we're being sold out by the state on the parkway redevelopment. And what they've done now is made it avoid Niagara Falls at all risks. I feel that we're in like a bad movie. What they're doing is, by the state, they're circling the city of Niagara Falls. They've taken away our waterfronts. Now they go directly into their park.
Look at Jim. That thing
that's what we're going to get into. This is
1960 master plan.
This is we've got something here that we want the people to see. But let's finish that. What we were told is Main Street. Okay, we know Main Street needs a ton of work. Okay, do you think that by them pulling that parkway out and them turning that into parkland, that's going to enhance Main Street? The one chance we had was when that parkway came out, that property goes back to the city of Niagara Falls for redevelopment, because that would have spurred a waterfront. The only thing that spurred development in the city of Buffalo and the billions of dollars that are being spent there was the fact that they had politicians in Buffalo that finally had enough balls to fight the state and get back their waterfront. And that's what we have to do on Main Street. We've had not only piss-poor politicians, but representation from the state has had not enough guts to go against the interests that work against the city of Niagara Falls. So these are things, people bring these things up to us. Why do we not do that? Okay, here's another quick one brought up to us at the concerts. That concert series was very successful. Talking to the people. Yesterday there was some representation of some of the Seneca Nation were there. They work at the casino. They stopped by for a talk with us. And basically they're part of the system. Some of them were bosses at the casino. And their interest to us was, we have an interest in Niagara Falls being successful. We have a huge financial investment in the city of Niagara Falls. But why should we invest in the land surrounding it or work with the city of Niagara Falls when they don't respect us? They consider us a cash cow, but they don't respect us. We have no seat at the table. Okay, this was reiterated not only by the Senecas, but at other times at concerts, the Tuscaroran people. They came there a few times, and they said basically this administration in the city of Niagara Falls and previous administrations have no respect for us at all. So why aren't these people that have $1 billion investment in the city of Niagara Falls not at the table? Let's think about why not bring these people in. Everyone complains about the NFR, land speculation, and I imagine that's coming up in that Channel 2 news program. Deister will be standing there, look, I can't do anything, okay? Think about what happened. How about, you don't piss off, first off, you never piss off billionaires. They spend more for shoes than the city has in a budget, okay? So what would have happened with the NFR had we welcomed them rather than challenged everything they tried to do? What do you think in the city of Niagara Falls would have happened if the administration had welcomed Walenda rather than fought it tooth and nail? That was big. Walenda was big for the city of Niagara Falls, but it could have been so much more.
Right.
So we have to take people with such huge investments in the city of Niagara Falls, they have to be asked to be at the table.
I think with Walenda, wasn't even what they did, it's the more that could have come after.
Yes. Do you know what? What he did was, to the world, made a huge difference, okay? And to his career, it made a huge difference. But what could have come after? We failed opportunities. This is what our administration would be about. While other administrations so far have considered places like Hyde Park to be a financial liability, the golf course, that's a financial liability. We're supporting it. We're not making any money out of it. These are not, the library, that's a financial responsibility. Okay, what they say is, what we have to do, we have to end this. We have to figure a way to cut funding. We got to cut costs. Those are not liabilities. Those are assets. What we need to do in the city of Niagara Falls is to take hold of every one of our assets. Why shouldn't Hyde Park be the Delaware Park of the city of Niagara Falls? Why shouldn't that library system be a community meeting place for not only the education, but the reintegration of different parties into the city?
Is that why you built them into your plan?
They're built right into the plan.
Casino money going.
Casino money. We're going to take these, what every administration had considered liabilities, and turned them into not liabilities, but assets. We have so much to offer that we no longer, and we never did, take hold of. So that's why these things are in our plan. You know, and part of the plan, when you look at it, we're going to reinstate the budget director position, okay? Regardless of what you think of Maria Brown, good, bad, or indifferent, her position, she's not doing the job that she was paid to do originally. It's not a city controller's position to do that. Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing, when you sit back, where we're talking about a forensic audit, what we want to do is to go through the expenditures, because no matter what we've done in the city of Niagara Falls or how we've spent the money, we cannot be sure of where that money went and whether the direction was proper for the money, or until we can evaluate where the city's at. I can sit there and I can foil information from the city of Niagara Falls all day long. It'll take weeks to get it. They'll give me a specific, if I ask about Article 1, that's all I'm getting. Even though Article 2, 3, 4, 5 through 12 is attached to that, I get Article 1. Make them foil something else. So this administration has not been open to the people or businesses in the city of Niagara Falls. This forensic audit will tell us exactly what position the city of Niagara Falls is in, which is why it is so important to do, so that we can see the proper direction and where we're going in the city of Niagara Falls. Another one, initiate the program that we need to return control of water and wastewater operations back to the city of Niagara Falls. Regardless of what maybe good reasoning was thought of in the beginning for dissolving his bond ratings, interest rates, they no longer exist.
Jim, you know what, and this is one thing I'd like to, that was created out of fear.
Yes.
You know it was created
We know.
out of fear. They said that we would incur this debt was going to bury us. And you, a businessman, you know that back then interest rates were through the roof.
Interest rates were
But
through
tell
the
me, they've changed.
They've changed. Everything has changed. The reason for the formation of that authority no longer exists, okay? What that has become is a high-paid patronage job, just like the Buffalo Municipal Authority is the same thing in Buffalo. That's political hacks being promised jobs, okay? And it's not the people that work there. We've got a lot of good people that work every day at that wastewater authority and try to do their job. They try hard to do their job. And they're behind us in bringing it back to the city. Because it's not the workers. It's what they create around the workers. And that's why that has. The most pressing reason that has got to come back, there's no other reason. If for any reason, it just has to be for responsibility, Paul. Think about it. Right now we're fighting between two organizations. Nobody's saying they're liable for what's happened.
Nobody wants
to be responsible. This would end it. Bring it back to the city. The director is responsible. Now the city, when you look at me and say, hey, my street needs to be dug up. You're right. That's my problem, not yours. Them poor people on 72nd Street, what's gonna end up happening if they have any money, they're not going to go through another winter. Deister's still exploring it, and I hate to see the cost for his exploration on the problems, because I dug ditches my whole life. I've known what the problem was there since the beginning. Those poor people are going to reach in their own pockets. They're going to spend $5,000 to $7,000 with private contractors to correct this problem, because they're not going to go through another winter without water. That can't happen. Then what they're going to have to do, they're going to sue the water authority to get their money back. And what's going to happen? We've talked to the people that have sued the water authority. They spend anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 to get their problems corrected. When they sue the water authority, 3 years later, they get $3,000 or $4,000 back. So not only is it a losing proposition, this is what's going to happen there. Mark my words. I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 years, and people refuse. This is what's going to happen. So the taxpayers take it again.
As you begin to share this plan with people, I think that's one of the points that really gets them going, is the water authority. But another one, and it's almost strange, if you told people from major tourist destinations that the city of Niagara Falls doesn't have a tourism office, they think you're from another planet. I think maybe you should touch on that point, what you want to do.
Do you know what? Paul's bringing it up, and it is right. When you go to Orlando or Tampa, or even smaller cities, I mean, think of some of the small cities in New York. They all have their own tourism organizations, okay, to represent, best represented. You know what they're composed of too, Paul? They're composed of business people and citizens in that district that have not only a financial interest, but an interest in presenting their city in the best application.
Do you feel the way it's laid out right now that it's giving the city a fair shake?
No. You know, the only person getting a fair shake out of what we have for tourism is the state parks, Okay, that's getting a fair shake. Do you think that they're doing anything for the business for the Como? Or Michael's or Sammy's or Frankie's Donuts for that instance? Small business? No, because they have no representation in this. We have what is called state representation. And think about it, okay? Someone from the Como, I'm sure Don, would love to be on that board for the tourism at zero charge. What do we pay Percy? Does Percy do it for free? I think he does it out of the charity.
How would you fund this, Jim?
We can fund this directly through the casino funding. What we're going to do is take that money back that we give out, okay? That bed tax that we're passing out right now, that's coming back. What we're going to do, we're going to fund this through the casino funds coming in. We're going to take that money that we give to these national, internet, and we're going to put it in the hands of the people. We're going to take this money for the funding and put it right there to this tourism
What's your
organization.
intentions with NTCC?
NTCC, I have no problems with NTCC, but they're going to fund themselves. They have enough money in the bank to stay. If the state chooses to continue that they need that representation for their state parks and their investment in the city, God bless them. More power to them, the more people working on it. But our organization is going to take that bed tax, our organization is going to take that casino cash, and we're going to do it for the local people. We're going to bring Niagara Falls to where it should be. These people are going to know about the Pine Avenue District. These people are going to know about the Niagara Street District. These people are going to know what LaSalle's all about. Niagara Falls Boulevard. This city was built on these small businesses, and when all these small businesses worked, that's what brought Niagara Falls here, and that's what we're going to bring back.
Maybe as we wind this down, because I know we're pushing our time
We're pushing our limits.
We're
We're pushing our limits. There's a guy jumping up and down behind the
I think people should remember, because if their votes don't matter, if the party candidates stand out, the last two Republican mayors weren't endorsed by the party. That speaks thunderous volumes. Irene Elia wasn't the endorsed candidate. Jake Palumbo wasn't the endorsed candidate. It can be done. The people have to come out. Mm-hmm. That's why you won't be resting for the next 60 days.
You know, if the people don't come out, we don't get elected. One other quick one that I got to touch on. I characterize not only this administration, but previous administrations as being failures because of missed opportunities. Whether it was intentionally missing these opportunities or just they weren't paying attention. They didn't keep their eye on the ball. Okay, and that's a problem. I look back at one of the biggest fiascos that he's had, other than 72nd Street, is what's gone out with the garbage. Okay, the city is dirtier today than it was prior to this new application. Why do I look at that as a failure? Because prior to this even happening, we were screaming. Okay, what we were screaming about was that the Covanta plant, a garbage burning plant in the city of Niagara Falls, was working on getting relicensed. They wanted to increase the amount of garbage that they were taking in. Okay, they wanted to increase the amount of pollution that's coming out of that plant, regardless of what anyone wants to tell you, and the amount of truck traffic that goes on in that area every night, because in walking that district, we hear from the people, 3 o'clock in the morning, the trucks are coming in, okay? So there's nothing wrong with relicensing it. It was there. But what should have happened was, knowing that the modern contract was coming up, knowing that we needed a negotiating position, that Covanta deal, we should have had a host city agreement with Covanta.
Jim, you've been involved in that type of work, directly and indirectly, for
40 years.
40 years. Can Covanta absolutely handle our garbage?
Oh, it's an afterthought.
Is it really?
It's an afterthought, Paul. And don't forget, as the garbage comes in, they're making money not only on the garbage they take in by the tonnage, but on what it produces, the electricity, the steam, everything that goes into that plant, because comes out of that plant as money. Even the separation of what goes into that plant, whether it be recyclables or anything, everything in that plant is made for money. Okay? So what should have happened, like it has at other plants, garbage burning plants, and I've worked with them. I worked at one garbage burning plant where the city negotiated a host agreement. For every ton of garbage that went across that scale, the tipping fee board, they received $2 to $3 per ton. Okay, now, people don't think that's a lot, but think about the millions of tons of garbage that are going to go into Covanta over the next years. That could have solved our budget problem completely, plus, in addition to getting some money for every ton that was tipped, they also got a host agreement where they paid for no garbage. So what ended up happening is in these cities...
You want to repeat that? Because that blows my mind.
Garbage would have been free. They would have accepted the garbage over their scale that the city of Niagara Falls produced as part of the host agreement, plus paid them a percentage of the tipping fee, which is the amount per ton that they get for every ton of garbage that goes into that plant. Now, they don't do this because they want to. These plants do this because the people go after these places and say it's your responsibility. If you want to do business in our city, we have to get something out of it. Do not believe in any way, shape, or form that that plant does not produce toxins and that what ends up happening coming out of those stacks is absolutely clean. Okay, it's not. It's impossible. There's no 100% clean process for burning garbage. Okay, so what ends up happening is this is for the people. So for the people, we should have free garbage. Now, the modern contract was coming up. Everyone knew this. Cavanta needed relicensing. Everyone knew this. Where was our government? Why were they not proactive? So the very worst scenario, we would have had a perfect argument to fight this out with Modern. Okay, so that's ridiculous to believe that they didn't know this. So my question is, if no one's getting paid off, then our government severely dropped the ball. Okay, because think about it.
Your intention.
My intentions are, regardless of what they say it being a done deal, and regardless of our planning guru, DeSantis, standing there hyping Cavanta to the planning board to make sure that they get all of their allocations and that they get all their permits in place, it's not a done deal. They're going to need us to continue what they're doing. That relicensing process also includes a lot of other things that it would be they would have a lot of benefit for the city of Niagara Falls to be behind them to help them through. Because where the agreement may be cut in stone, it's not cut in stone. Because then the city can go after them for DEC violations. We can ask for additional cleanup on the property. So they really still need cooperation. So whether it's cut in stone or not, it's not cut in stone. We need something from them for what they're going to do to the city of Niagara Falls. Secondly, the modern contract. Now that contract, the way the city is, okay, because we see contracts with the city of Niagara Falls. It's always to the advantage of the person producing the contract and not the citizens and businesses. So that contract might be a little bit harder to void, okay? But you can bet your ass that there's some things that we can do to fight it, and I believe it would be to Modern's benefit to work with us on this, okay?
So,
only
Jimmy,
for additional future
bounce this one off you, all right? You're in the mayor's office, and you deal with Cavanta. There's nothing to say that Cavanta burns whatever, because we're still tied in with Modern, right?
Tied in.
But if we burn garbage at the same time, doesn't that reduce our tipping fees in Modern?
Let's just take this even a quick step further. We're tied into the Modern contract and we're stuck with it for the next few years. But gee, Cavanta says, hey, all this debris that's laying all around the city, all this garbage that we're paying additional money to Modern for, we do have a contract, but what we want you to know is if you deliver it to our deck, we're going to take it for free. What do you think that's going to save? All these mattresses and things you're sitting around, all these old refrigerators, all this garbage that we see laying around the city, even if we could get something with Cavanta.
Which we pay for to dump.
Which we pay for, in addition to the contract to Modern, we pay a fee. When Modern says, this is what our contract, point 12, means we will take one big object every 27 years for each house. You know what I mean? And I'm getting a little levity in there.
Yeah, you get a little levity.
Out. But what if we got that dumped for free? What if we could take that debris to Cavanta and just dump it there for free? You think that would help us?
You get the advantage of reducing your tipping, right?
Okay. And now there's no extras for Modern. There's no extras. Modern gets strictly what it's there for. Now, whatever we recycle, which we're doing there, that gets taken off the top. Maybe this plan could work if we had at least another garbage burning plant accepting our garbage for free. Wouldn't that help the plant? I would think that would help the citizens. I would think they wouldn't have to worry about it.
When we come back again, maybe we'll go through the rest of your plan.
It's a 12-point plan. The funny part is, here's something we got to touch on this really quick.
Right.
Okay. What happened was, the city of Niagara Falls, through all the previous mayors, they've always had a master plan. DeSantis, 25 years there. I have a plan for the city. It doesn't include the citizens and businesses, but it's my plan, so we're going to stuff it down your throats. Let's talk about master plans, Paul. How long have we had master plans? You think it even exceeded, we found out it exceeded DeSantis. What we've been brought into, my sister found this. This is a copy of a preliminary master plan for the city of Niagara Falls dated 1960. This was produced in 1959 to give us the direction of the city of Niagara Falls. It includes how population is reducing, how our business districts need some work, and how they're disjointed, they're not tied in, and everything that all future plans as presented are in this plan. So 1960, we started a master plan. What's that? How many years is that, Paul? 55
years.
55 years. So all this planning, all we've done is somebody paid for this plan. And we paid for plans after this, and after this, and after this. Don't you think it's time we stopped planning and we started doing? Maybe we need somebody that's going to have the balls to do something rather than to plan it. Maybe we'll have somebody there with enough balls to fix some of the problems that the people are facing rather than to study them. Because every time we study it, all it does is cost people money. And that's what we're about. We're not going to study things. We're going to get results. And that's where we're at.
Let's go knock on some doors.
We're going to go knock on some doors.
Right.